We live in Ireland, one of Europe's biggest countries per capita for drinking alcohol. An interesting thing has happened where we've realised that we actually have started drinking less now. In today's video, we asked the question, did Ireland make us want to drink less alcohol? In Ireland, there is more than enough encouragement to actually drink alcohol. We've seen it from the several jokes we've made about going to pubs. But one of the things that we've realised is that it's so ingrained, even something like on a Friday night, you might go, grab a bottle of wine, some takeout, and then sit in for the night.
Even when you're talking to friends and they tell you, to take a chill, as people sometimes tell us, and often that's connected to grab a glass of wine while you cook, or sit down with your book and instead of the tea, open a glass of wine.
Yeah, even take a shot or something, or open a bottle for a celebration. It's basically everywhere. But I think a good place to start is tell us our origin stories. We're not superheroes, but at least we're, what we're accustomed to.
And also the channel name, inadvertently.
Right, yes. I can see from the channel name why it would make sense that we do drink a lot, but actually no. So, let's get started with how my story is of growing up in Barbados. Yeah, so for me, basically how mine started was kind of in university in Barbados. There was this, this kind of, it's not exactly a cart, but a place on the beach where we would go for drinks and cocktails. They're now a huge food and drink establishment. I always like to joke that I feel like my friends went there so much, almost daily, that they created the investment for them to move into the bigger place. Well, this place was called Tiki Bar, and from the sounds of it, cocktails. Lots and lots of cocktails. So we're talking cocktails like one of my favourite, strawberry daiquiri, as well as mojitos, and almost any coffee/milk based kind of cocktail. That's what I like. Ooh, and also like punch and crème, which for those uninitiated with that, it's kind of like Trinidad Caribbean eggnog, but yeah.
Very strong, real strong, because rum. So much rum, all of the rum. Why is the rum always gone? Because it's in the punch and crème. If it's not in black cake, that's another story.
Yes, so I'll move on from telling you about the Christmas menu onto actual drinks, but yeah, through this, you would also have a couple beers as well, and I soon realised that, my kind of tolerance is about 2 of anything. It might have gotten a little buzz or anything like that, but nothing too crazy. That a bit changed when I decided to go study in the UK, because that pound conversion from Barbados dollars, it's student budget for that. So I think to be able to afford a pint, a can or something like that. Yeah, cocktails were definitely not in the budget. But I think up there is where I had my first made in Europe Guinness, because I think the Guinness back in Barbados and other places, I know in Nigeria, there's a different formulation of it. Had a Guinness there and here, and that's kind of how we got to the present day. Now for the wine.
Well, it starts with, as you guessed, the origins of the channel name, wine. So Austria is actually more known for drinking beer. I think the per capita consumption is actually really, really high up there if you compare it to other countries. But I am from a small area that produces a lot of wine, so it's all about the wine culture. My grandparents have vineyards that they used to, make wine from. I mainly remember when it was had calmed down to mainly family consumption, but that already sets the scene for you, I suppose, that wine is kind of so much part of the culture that in the village where I grew up in, there's a lot of families who still have the vineyards on the side, and you have your own family collection of wine. It's free. Well, it's not free because you made it, but
For family members it's free.
For family members it's free, just available, just walk down in the cellar and there it is. And even so, even now in the village, you can easily buy quite high quality wine for a couple of bucks. Literally there's they call them it's imagine a vending machine, but even lower tech than that. Like a farmer would literally have their apples, whatever, where's a fridge with some wine bottles. You go put your €2 whatever in the coin box and you take your bottle of wine, and that's pretty high quality of wine you can get. So a very different story from how it is in Ireland. But yeah, I think the growing up in that village with versus how some people grow up here is quite similar. Like personally, I was too introverted to be doing much of this then in fields while drinking alcohol things as a teen.
Wild.
Like binge drinking and all that was a huge concern for like parents when I was a teen. Not my parents, because I'd actually have to leave the house for that to happen. But even I suppose inside the house, like I noticed with my family, and we'll get to that later, even drinking the wine is kind of a lot part of even within the family, not just going out as a teen and drinking with others.
Now, as I said, Ireland is a place that you do have some encouragement to drink, but there's also quite a heavy amount of discouragement as well, which we found very interesting. Just like we talked about being a broke student, yeah, price factors in a lot here. I think it was almost a decade ago they introduced, I think it's called minimum unit pricing, where their big plan for it was to stop the kind of stronger type of alcohol, more alcohol volume types of alcohol from being consumed so cheaply. So pretty much the price is related to how much alcohol content the drink has. So the more alcohol, more expensive. So anything that is actually has more expensive types of alcohol, more volume alcohol, like rum, that is rum, whiskies, etc., would be more expensive. And you definitely see that in the prices. Cocktails out here are costing ridiculously.
Related to the prices, there are also restrictions on when you can buy alcohol. This really surprised us because to us the times feel very random. So it's, I think, is a Saturday or Sunday before lunch you can't buy the alcohol, which is usually the only time we would go buy alcohol because we'd have people coming over or we're trying to cook/bake something like a Guinness or whatever, and you're just trying to buy that for your cooking, and they're like, nope, can't sell that to you. And suddenly you feel like, I don't know, 14-year-old who went into the shop trying to buy alcohol and the person at the till takes it away from you and you're just like, oh, why can't I buy it?
Yeah, I've got the money, I'm old enough, come on, give me a break. Yeah, but this just happened a few weeks ago. Yeah, we're all familiar with Temple Bar right now, aren't we? Yeah, prices have been going up for a pint. I think a couple of weeks ago they announced the first €10 pint. I don't know. I mean, places got to stay in business, but that's a bit prohibitive on how much, well, what you're going to do, spend on a night out. If you're thinking that, well, I can't even get food, that's just a drink, and I have more than one, that's...
Let alone buying rounds.
Rounds don't exist anymore. When stuff is €10 a pint, rounds don't exist anymore. That concept is dead to me. So, yeah. If you're budget minded, yeah, that would automatically make you probably drink less of your favorite alcohol or cocktail. Number 2 on our list of why we think Ireland may have influenced or decreased our consumption of alcohol is a lack of variety. As I said before, I like cocktails, and with cocktails being that expensive, well, yeah, that is not really happening. And it's also the amount of them. That place I would go to, Tiki Bar, they had a huge sign. There's about 40 to 50 types of cocktails there. Sure, it might be like a margarita or something like that with just different fruits. You could have a strawberry, a mango, pineapple, whatever it was. And here it's just like one flavor.
Places don't even do mojitos. I thought that was the most basic of cocktails. How do people not know about mojitos?
Yeah, she's mad about the mojitos. I'm like, I agree. I wasn't a mojito person until we were in Slovenia. Oh, man, the Juliana. And I still remember that mojito like, it's like 8 years later. Crispy. Cool. Yeah. There's none of that. But yeah, there's another thing about Austria, because I'm talking about rum-based sort of mixes and so on. devoid of wine mixes, which the wine will explain
Talk
better.
about the wine.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So many puns to make for our names in this one.
So my first realization of like, oh, I guess I won't be drinking much alcohol is when we first moved here, and I realized the A, price of the wines here, and B, I don't want to insult all wines based on quality, but simply just the lack of choice. Like, you go into a pub and you ask for wine, they'll be like red or white. That already, that's a red flag to begin with. Like, if you go into an Austrian wine tavern, and I guess since they are usually run by people who make their own wine, you go in there, you get the sort of wine list, I suppose you'd call it, even though that sounds way too fancy. But basically, all the different types of wine. So in my area, it's predominantly white wine. So you can choose between the like traditional Grüner Veltliner, which is like the most common type of grape. So like a more dry wine, or if you want something more sweet, you can drink a Chardonnay or a Gelbe Muscatella. Sorry, I have no idea what any of these are called in English. They're probably are translations, maybe not. Maybe they're just very specific grapes to my area. But basically, you literally, like, if you go for wine, you choose a type of grape, kind of, do you want something sweeter, something kind of drier? And I've understood dry wine is wet. But anyways, you can choose your flavor direction, I suppose. And on top of that, there's also different types of mixes. So you can, if you don't want just like full straight on wine, there's, I could go on for this, stop me at any point.
No, continue.
But,
this is the interesting part. Talk about this part, 'cause this part, I was like, what?
So, for example, the most common wine mix is actually wine and just soda water, which is like a summer kind of wine, because it lowers the amount of alcohol in it and it hydrates you. So in summer when it's hot, that's a useful one. There's also ones where you mix it with some syrups, like elderflower syrup or other types of syrups, or you can even go and mix it with like an Austrian soft drink called Almdudler, which is sort of like a herbal soft drink kind of thing. So people go through a lot of mixtures, and that's not even starting on the beer, where there's like different types of shandy, whether it's lemon shandy, grapefruit shandy, all kinds of different things. So simply just trying to decide to choose alcohol, there's a huge variation. That's not just like you want this beer brand or this beer brand or this beer brand doing marginally different beer.
Number 3 is that I've actually met the most people in my life who say that they don't drink here in Ireland. Yeah, totally against the stereotype. And one of the first people that it was a guy I worked with. I didn't ask him this question because I feel like, hey, it's none of my business. You say that, whatever, I don't care. That's not a problem at all. But he was saying that when he was going to university, he probably drank too much, had a horrible experience, and that was like, no, that's it, that's done, not touching this again. And it got me to thinking if that's usually what happens, because maybe the culture is more like, hey, you have your drinks or whatever, either you kind of like it and, do your sort of big drinking, or maybe have too much, or just, up to a certain level, or you've seen that behavior from people and just swear off like, nah, I don't even like that vibe, that's not what I'm trying to do. Or do you have a, crazy bad experience and then that puts you off of drinking alcohol altogether?
So similarly in Austria, I also have some millennial friends who decided to not drink alcohol for a year, or some people started sticking with it for longer. And I think it's a bit of a just questioning how much alcohol is involved in a lot of interactions by default, and just seeing what it's like not to be drinking the wine or the beer at the pub, as default what it's like to have a different experience.
Yeah, it is very interesting, because I find in cultures sometimes the drinking happens when it's probably a time for celebration, versus sometimes just like, oh, it's Sunday and that's what you eat with the meal. It was definitely interesting going over to Austria, kind of like a wine kind of village, and seeing that experience. So in Barbados, it's a lot more celebratory, but at the same time, I think it's a bit more of the party culture, because usually there needs to be an event. From going out to the club or something, that's when you would drink. Maybe if for some celebration, a shot or something, champagne, birthday, something, but not usually with meals or something like that. I usually got to go to some sort of party event. I just didn't mention kind of like party culture in Barbados. The weird thing is that I don't think they've actually introduced a breathalyzer test yet. They were supposed to, but it's kind of done. It's our mass transit system, the buses, don't exactly run too much late at night when the parties are, so everyone's got to pretty much drive home. I feel, interestingly enough, I feel the culture there is kind of a limit of know your limit kind of developed, that okay, they're like, hey, I'm gonna drink at the start or not at all to kind of sober up enough for the drive home, because for how much alcohol people drink at parties, there are so few actually fatal accidents that happen compared to what I hear from here in Ireland. So I'm not saying alcohol is involved, I'm just like, in comparison, there's pretty few relatively. Another thing is actually the amount of non-alcoholic versions of beer that there are here. I didn't recognize it much before, but I think it was with one of the workmates a few years ago. I think it was Heineken 0.0, something with zeros in it. So I didn't drink and they ordered this and like, oh, okay, so that's how you go and interact with the kind of pub after work kind of drinking culture. And I myself has even tried some of these as well. I think that same Blind Boy show, yeah, because it was a weeknight, I'm not trying to drink and then catch the bus home, and also be here to watch a show. You gotta keep your ears on, your ears and eyes on. I can perfectly understand Irish accents, but I was like, no need to do anything to impede it. So I tried to get this zero, or whatever they call it. I'm just calling everything zero for the first time, man. Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
That didn't sound very convincing.
No, I mean, it wasn't that. It's an alcoholic thing. It doesn't taste like actual thing. Guinness. Would I go for it again? Honestly, I don't know. It might be good with food. I'll try it then.
In fairness, I'm not much of a Guinness drinker, but it tasted a bit bitter. Like, more bitter than the usual Guinness to me. Like, as you can tell by wine being the name, I'm not too experienced of a beer drinker, so when I go for the non-alcoholic whatever zero they have of just regular lager, I can't taste the difference between this and alcoholic beer. For all I know, I would probably feel the difference afterwards if they brought me an alcoholic beer, but by tasting it I couldn't tell the difference. And I find it's kind of nice that if I'm like eating something a bit more greasy like fish and chips, and I'm like, beer would go with this, but actually I don't want to drink alcohol right now because I still gotta walk back because we're in the middle of a hike or something, and like that's the perfect time for me to go for a non-alcoholic beer.
Yes, and this is where they should have a lot more non-alcoholic cocktails, because I'm in here for the taste of it. Very few of things that would I actually be bothered if there would be no alcohol in it. Though punch creme without the rum in it would probably taste a bit more like just a dessert. So yeah, accept that maybe.
Yeah, the good thing with alcohol and pancha creme is it stops you from having too much of it and getting like a sugar whatever high.
But one more thing before we start ending off. I kind of found a secret to this entire thing of deciding, I do want something to drink, but I don't want too much. Yeah, and I did not know this existed until we were in a pub or somewhere, and this couple of ladies ordered something I didn't know of. A half pint. You can get half pints. I thought everything was just a pint. There are lots of times where, as the wine said, you're having some fish and chips or something, and a good beer goes with it. But I'm like, I don't want a full beer. I've got to eat this entire portion here. So yeah, half pint comes in clutch. And now that's my go-to if I feel like I want a beer with a meal. Half pint all the time.
And you can always order another one if you realize, I actually wanted more. So I find that's actually that's kind of our middle path. We're not completely not drinking alcohol, but we kind of, more have the smaller portion sizes and kind of a lot more picky about what we drink.
Yeah, I've got some defaults. It's basically either Guinness if I want something heavy like that, or basically hot pals. It's been getting harder to find cider. It's like cider is always bought out for some reason.
And Rebel Red, that's the one I enjoy. Which you don't have a lot. I'm like, I don't know why.
Because we can barely find it, that's why. So that is pretty much what our current drinking situation looks like. We go out, but most of the time we have some sort of alcoholic beverage, usually some juice. If you feel like the taste, then it's the non-alcoholic alcohol. And then finally, if we do feel like drinking, it's those half pints. Yeah, I guess when we first came, we would go on every restaurant and be like, hey, do you have Hop House 13? Yeah, and it was like big pints, whether we're on a walk or a hike or something like that, and then I'd have to be like, where's the bathroom? But no, yeah, don't drink enough to drink. Have to go to the bathroom. Yeah, bathroom and dog poop, Sam. I'm keeping on trend. Anyway, before I make the wide, laugh all the way off the camera. Yeah, we're winding around. We talk about stuff in our life right
And
here.
stuff and dog poops by bathrooms as well.
Yeah, so if you like this video, give it a like. Yeah, go check out the rest of the videos we have. Wait a minute, isn't there something you're working on?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of working on a book about how to live and thrive as an expat in Ireland. Alcohol-based culture is one of the topics discussed there, so keep tuned for that.
Yeah, so yeah, whenever that comes up, we will let you know in the video and post the links and wherever. But yeah, until then, enjoy the rest of our videos. Yeah, there are a lot of them we've been posting. Congratulate us. Yes, so that's all for now. See you later. Bis später.
Bye!